Well, good afternoon and welcome to Truth Worth Living, where we seek to understand God's Word so we can live in God's will. When I was in graduate school the first time, I worked on now Senator Lindsey Graham's first political campaign, and my first order of business was actually to do a thorough analysis of precincts to determine where we should spend our money in the primaries, and then ultimately, if we got there, where we should spend it in the general election. Now, it took me about a month to do the proposal, and afterwards I was invited to a team meeting of the entire campaign staff, most of whom I had not met. And when we got there, we received a packet of information that contained our grassroots campaign strategy. It was actually my proposal, word for word, but it had someone else's name on it. I was fuming, but I kept my mouth shut, my eyes open for this guy named Daniel, who took credit for my work and was strutting around the place like he was the cat's meow. I'm over it, sort of. But there are people like that, and worse, and they're everywhere. The sad truth is, we do life with people who are malicious, cruel, and conniving, people who make that Daniel guy look like a saint. They are dangerous, evil people. And they create questions like, what do we do about it? And, maybe more importantly, why doesn't God do something about it? Jesus addressed that issue in a parable, and it should be no surprise that his answers were, well, surprising. Here's how the story goes. Jesus told them another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a man who sowed good seed in his field. But while everyone was sleeping, the enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat and went away. When the wheat sprouted and formed heads, then the weeds also appeared. Now, understand these weeds that he's talking about are not harmless little dandelions. He's talking about a type of ryegrass virtually indistinguishable from wheat, whose seeds are poisonous for people. It looks like wheat until the wheat bears fruit. Only then can the two be distinguished. Jesus went on. The owner's servants came to him and said, "Sir, didn't you sow good seed in your field? Where then did the weeds come from?" "An enemy did this," he replied. The servants asked him, "Do you want us to go pull them up?" "No," he answered, "because while you're pulling the weeds, you may uproot the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. At that time, I will tell the harvesters, first collect the weeds and tie them in bundles to be burned, then gather the wheat and bring it into my barn." Now, if this story leaves you wanting more, you're not alone. The disciples had questions too. It goes on. Then he left the crowd and went into the house. His disciples came to him and said, "Explain to us the parable of the weeds in the field." He answered, "The one who sowed the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world, and the good seed stands for the people of the kingdom. The weeds are the people of the evil one, and the enemy who sows them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the age, and the harvesters are angels. As the weeds are pulled up and burned in the fire, so it will be at the end of the age. So the Son of Man will send out his angels, and they will weed out of his kingdom everything that causes sin and all who do evil. They will throw them into the blazing furnace, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then the righteous will shine like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Whoever has ears, let them hear." Now that parable, which is contained throughout Matthew chapter 13, makes two big points. First, Jesus is saying at the end of time, he and his team will remove everything that causes sin and all who do evil. Now, the words here for everything that causes sin and all who do evil they don't refer to people who drive 63 in a 55 or take 12 items in a 10-item express lane. So, by the way, if that's you, you're off the hook, unless you're in line in front of me, of course. These weeds are literally Satan's seed. People who, by their cunning and duplicity, cause others to sin and suffer. That's evil. Jesus says he will remove them. Why? Because Jesus hates the suffering they cause, and he's going to put a stop to it. He wants justice to be done and people to be protected. So he's going to crush evil so that the righteous will shine like the sun in their Father's kingdom. Second, the parable teaches that we must leave it to him. We must leave that cleansing work to him. We want to get rid of dangerous, evil people when? Right now. The sooner the better. And God has granted our government some authority to deal with evil, but it obviously can't eradicate it completely. Only God can do that, and he will. And we must be patient and allow him to do it. We can't do it because we actually can't distinguish between the weeds and the wheat. Until they're full grown, there's virtually no difference. And since we would do it now, we would make horrific mistakes, pulling up both weeds and wheat. And we have to trust God in his timeline. He makes decisions with omniscience, knowing that with Jesus, people can grow and change. We actually all start out as weeds, but with Jesus, we become wheat. So we don't get to tear out what we think are weeds because God can turn them into wheat. So what do? We can pray against evil. We certainly are instructed to pray for his kingdom to come, but we must resist the urge to avenge ourselves of the evil that we experience. That's God's job, and we have to trust that he'll do it. That's a truth that will keep us out of all kinds of trouble, and this is truth worth living. Thank you so much for joining me today. I trust that you're having a great one. My prayer is that God will bless you and keep you and cause his face to shine upon you and give you peace. Have a great afternoon.